Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 2, Book 23, number 431. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. Allah's apostle shrouded every 2 martyrs of Uhud in one piece of cloth, and then he would ask, which of them knew more Quran? When one of them was pointed out, he would put him first in the grave. He said, I am a witness on these. Then he ordered them to be buried with blood on their bodies. Neither did he offer their funeral prayer nor did he get them washed. Jabir bin Abdullah added, Allah's apostle used to ask about the martyrs of Uhud as to which of them knew more of the Quran. And when one of them was pointed out as having more of it, he would put him first in the grave and then his companions. Jabir added, my father and my uncle were shrouded in one sheet. Volume 2, Book 23, number 432. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, Allah has made Mecca a sanctuary, sacred place. And it was a sanctuary before me and will be so after me. It was made legal for me to fight in it for a few hours of the day. None is allowed to uproot its thorny shrubs or to cut its trees or to chase its game or to pick up its fallen things, except by a person who announces it publicly. On that Al-Abbas said to the Prophet, except Al-Idkir for our goldsmiths and for our graves. And so the Prophet added, except Al-Idkir. And Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, except Al-Idkir for our graves and houses. And Ibn Abbas said, for the goldsmiths and houses. Volume 2, Book 23, number 433. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. Allah's apostle came to Abdullah bin Ubay, a hypocrite, after his death, and he has been laid in his pit, grave. He ordered that he be taken out of the grave, and he was taken out. Then he placed him on his knees and threw some of his saliva on him and clothed him in his, the Prophet's, own shirt. Allah knows better why he did so. Abdullah bin Ubay had given his shirt to Al-Abbas to wear. Abu Harun said, Allah's apostle at that time had 2 shirts, and the son of Abdullah bin Ubay said to him, O Allah's apostle, clothe my father in your shirt which has been in contact with your skin. Sufyan added, thus people think that the Prophet clothed Abdullah bin Tubal in his shirt in lieu of what he, Abdullah, had done for Al-Abbas, the Prophet's uncle. Volume 2, Book 23, number 434. Narrated by Jabir. When the time of the Battle of Uhud approached, my father called me at night and said, I think that I will be the first amongst the companions of the Prophet to be martyred. I do not leave anyone after me dearer to me than you, except Allah's apostle's soul, and I owe some debt. And you should repay it and treat your sisters favorably, nicely and politely. So in the morning he was the first to be martyred and was buried along with another martyr. I did not like to leave him with the other martyr. So I took him out of the grave after 6 months of his burial, and he was in the same condition as he was on the day of burial, except a slight change near his ear. Volume 2, Book 23, number 435. Narrated by Jabir. A man was buried along with my father, and I did not like it till I took him, i.e. my father, out and buried him in a separate grave. Volume 2, Book 23, number 436. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. The Prophet collected every 2 martyrs of Uhud in one grave, and then he would ask, which of them knew the Quran more. And if one of them was pointed out for him as having more knowledge, he would put him first in the lard. The Prophet said, I will be a witness on these on the day of resurrection. Then he ordered them to be buried with their blood on their bodies, and he did not have them washed. Volume 2, Book 23, number 437. Narrated by Ibn Umar. Umar set out along with the Prophet, P.B.U.H., with a group of people to Ibn Sayyad till they saw him playing with the boys near the hillocks of Bani Mughala. Ibn Sayyad at that time was nearing his puberty and did not notice us, until the Prophet stroked him with his hand and said to him, "Do you testify that I am Allah's apostle?" Ibn Sayyad looked at him and said, "I testify that you are the messenger of illiterates." Then Ibn Sayyad asked the Prophet, P. B. U. H. "Do you testify that I am Allah's apostle?" The Prophet, P. B. U. H. refuted it and said, "I believe in Allah and His apostles." Then he said to Ibn Sayyad, "What do you think?" Ibn Sayyad answered, "True people and liars visit me." The Prophet said, "You have been confused as to this matter." Then the Prophet said to him, "I have kept something in my mind for you, can you tell me that?" Ibn Sayyad said, "It is al-duq, the smoke, too." The Prophet said, "Let you be in ignominy. You cannot cross your limits." On that, Umar said, "O Allah's apostle, allow me to chop his head off." The Prophet, P. B. U. H. said, "If he is he, i.e. Dajjal, then you cannot overpower him. And if he is not, then there is no use of murdering him." Ibn Umar added. Later on, Allah's apostle, P. B. U. H. once again went along with Ubay bin Ka'b to the date palm trees garden, where Ibn Sayyad was staying. The Prophet, P. B. U. H. wanted to hear something from Ibn Sayyad before Ibn Sayyad could see him. And the Prophet, P. B. U. H. saw him lying covered with a sheet, and from where his murmurs were heard. Ibn Sayyad's mother saw Allah's apostle while he was hiding himself behind the trunks of the date palm trees. She addressed Ibn Sayyad, "O Saf." And this was the name of Ibn Sayyad, "Here is Muhammad." And with that Ibn Sayyad got up. The Prophet said, "Had this woman left him, had she not disturbed him, then Ibn Sayyad would have revealed the reality of his case." Volume 2, Book 23, number 438. Narrated by Anas. A young Jewish boy used to serve the Prophet and he became sick. So the Prophet went to visit him. He sat near his head and asked him to embrace Islam. The boy looked at his father, who was sitting there. The latter told him to obey Abu al-Qasim, and the boy embraced Islam. The Prophet came out saying, "Praises be to Allah who saved the boy from the hell fire." Volume 2, Book 23, number 439. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. My mother and I were among the weak and oppressed. I from among the children, and my mother from among the women.
حي على الصلاة